All right, let's talk about Hogwarts Legacy and Harry Potter. Um, One of the things that I don't want to do is encompass Harry Potter and Hogwarts as the only aspects of Harry Potter, obviously, um, or the Wizarding World, as it were. Um, but since this is the current game that's out, and it has been the one game lately that has really entranced me beyond anything I've had I've been posting occasionally that this is probably the best game that I've seen in 10 years, um because it is open world, which is of course what I prefer, and it has let me turn that down just a little bit just to make sure that the music, because in my ear it's a lot louder than it may be to you guys, um but I would say that this game really tends to capture uh what I think of as Harry Potter, and the sorry for the clipping there, the essence of Harry Potter. I'm gonna, while I'm give me a moment, I'm gonna stop with the music, and there we go. We'll go to the website instead, uh, because the game truly does capture how at least the first maybe four or even five movies in the Harry Potter series really played out, because it involves a fifth year student. You play as a fifth year student that has just been invited to Harry Potter, to the Hogwarts, and it is a very um, immersive experience that I just can't describe unless you've played it. Um, I'm not going to include a bunch of gameplay. I'm not going to include a bunch of spoilers or anything. But I will say that I've seen some people post and talk about how that the storyline was kind of meh or whatever. I did not think so. Um, I will say that it was in keeping with the theme of Harry Potter without telling the same story again. So maybe that's why. Maybe they felt like it was um, maybe a bit redundant, because it did give the same feel as say Harry Potter movies and books did. The other thing was it also didn't always follow the movies. It more followed the books in some regards. So, but the visualizations were very movie esque. So, because a lot of the things that they talked about, like the tower and the way Hogwarts Castle is built, that's all movie. It's movie in general. And even though the movies tried to capture the essence of the books and the movies talk about it quite a bit differently. Um, the for example, the Quidditch. That's not the Quidditch pitch, is it? It's hard to tell from the visualization here. It looks like it is. It's in the right location from the game. But the Quidditch pitch was a little further away from the castle than the way the book in the books that I remember. Now it's been a long time since I read the books, but and I haven't had time to read. I know some people, religiously reread or at least listen to the audiobooks over and over again, and they are worth the time. Something. I mean, the first one or two, it's very much written for a younger audience, whereas the third book really starts to capture a more, I don't want to say a more adult audience, but a a more mature young adult audience. They are young adult books. Even the last book is very adult in nature, but it's still a young adult book. It gives you, I mean, if you think about it, Harry in the books are he's 11 when the first book begins. And I do have the Harry Potter fan club pulled up also. I wanted to talk about that here in just a second. I thought maybe I'd have a Harry Potter picture, but no. No, that's just the fan club. Um, but well, let's go to this. No, okay. Portrait for kids. Archive maybe. No. Okay. So here's a good example. So the books were written, you know, for, I mean, if you think about it, for, for children in the preteen era, even though Harry advances into teen in book 3, he becomes 13 in book 3, and then all of a sudden the books transition to a little bit of a young adult or young or a teen flavor as opposed to a young audience. And it and as he gets 3 years 3 books later, he turns 16, and in that 17-18 year old range of the books, the last 2 books, say books 6 and 7, they're very adult or young adult in nature. That's what I mean, is the books themselves transition across how old and mature the audience is if the audience grew up with these books, even though it took a little bit longer for the books to come out than it did for Harry to grow up. For example, if you look at the book releases, if you look, and this is a website I found, it gives the book art, and I don't know, it's called 5 books. I've never been here before, so if there's anything on here that you guys don't like or something you don't like about it, I can't help it. It just lays it out the way I wanted to. The first book was published in 1997, and then the next book 98, and the next book 99, and that's all uh, great, because they all follow a 1 year schedule, if you would. Even 2000 with the Goblet of Fire, which was a pretty good sized book. But then you get to the Order of the Phoenix, which was the largest book. It was monstrous. When the Goblet of Fire had been the biggest book up to that point, and it had been, well, let's see, the other 3 were around 3 or I want to say around 300 or 400 pages. When Goblet of Fire, I think, bumped up to like 600, and then you go to like a 1400 page book. It was, oh, it says 900. Okay, up to a 900 page book. Yeah, there it is, 600. It jumped way up there, and then this one back down to around 500. I mean, 800 or so pages, and then the Deathly Hollows was just a little bit more than 600. Maybe this one was less than that. I don't recall. I know the Half Blood Prince wasn't as big as Deathly Hollows, so maybe it was around 500 or so. Um, well, I didn't think it was. There was a lot happened in this book, so it's hard for me to remember. I read them conjunctively. I read all of them one right after another. I didn't start reading them until probably around 2007, actually. Um, but anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because you went from year to year to year, and then uh, instead of in 2002, I mean, 2001, and then 2002, 2003, um, the books jumped to 2003 release here, 2005 here, I think it is. Yeah, and then 2007. So um, you would think it would be one every year, or it had been up at that point. And one, two, three, four, five. There was 7 books, so it encompassed 7 years of Harry Potter's lifespan, but it took 10 years to release the books. So when it does um, take that long, there's there's there comes a transition where the people who are reading along relating directly to Harry's maturity level, and then all of a sudden it takes a little longer. The average audience is older, and they become college age when Harry's still trying to graduate. What would be considered high school, even if it's wizard school. So when I'm talking about all that, and I'm sorry that it took me so long to get that out, but uh, you really revolve around a very mature audience in the last 2 books, which is why to me the books read so much more almost grim. And as such, there are a lot, like I said, a lot happened in the book 6 and 7. And I tried to tell you earlier there would be no spoilers. um I meant for the game. So just in case I let something slip about the books or the movies, if you haven't seen the books or movies, there's a lot happens in those last 2. Well, in the movies, there's 3 movies that encompass that. They really got into stretching things out in the movies. This is when the Lord of the Rings had been released, and then they realized, oh, they could release 2 films or 3 films for a book, and then they started experimenting with that idea. They did it with Harry Potter probably first with the Deathly Hallows, and then all of a sudden they make a 3-part series for The Hobbit. Don't get me started. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the of the 3 movie set for The Hobbit, which could have been told easily in a two movie series at best. But nobody in publishing or movies seems to appreciate a one and done, or a even just a 2-part series. They believe in trilogies, like trilogy is the thing. Who knows who set all that in motion? I try to think back, and of course everything points to Star Wars in my mind because I'm a big Star Wars fan, but maybe not. It was probably before that they started really pushing the trilogy idea. But I couldn't tell you for sure. But um, and you can look back into other things for sequels and 2-parters and all those kind of things. All those existed for a long time. I just wish they would allow makers of movies, books, and games to do one and done, and then do something new or different with their next release instead of having to reiterate everything over again. Because I did also see where they said Hogwarts Legacy was the beginning of a bigger story, or a sequel, or something like that, a series or whatever. And my instinctive thought, even though I hadn't yet finished the game when they announced it, my instinctive thought was, you know, here they go with, trying to do something that is really well done. That, yes, they could expand on this game, do DLCs or whatever they want to do. I hope, I'd love to say these AAA companies don't understand the value anymore of free releases, and that makes me sad. Whereas something like No Man's Sky or whatever, they keep doing free releases, and the game continues to grow. Um, but these AAA companies, their desire for profit overwhelms their sense of loyalty. and that's really sad, that they have enough money to do so many things and they just want more. It's pure greed, but it is a thing. But if it's a good enough DLC, I don't understand why they can't just say, look, let's do free stuff until it's a really big release, and then they big release it and say, look, here we have this great thing, but we do need some money for it because it took a lot more effort or a lot more, personnel to make it happen. Um, but look at Minecraft. And I know I'm getting into a lot of different games, but that's what I'm talking about here is games. You look at Minecraft. Minecraft does updates like all the time. They have done big, up until Microsoft kind of took them over. They did big updates once every year or so. Anyway, and even now they do one or two big updates a year. They're still trying to find their pattern there, but I mean, we're talking about updates that are almost game changing updates, and they're updating the exact same game, a sandbox game, and this is a Harry Potter. It's not sandbox. It is more open world, story driven, but it is definitely, if you haven't seen the hype of this game or don't really care anything, if you're just a fair weather Harry Potter fan, I get it. You're just like, I don't care. Um, I was kind of well, um, to put it mildly, an ex got me into Harry Potter, and then because of that breakup and what have you, I just kind of put Harry Potter in the back of my mind, and I just enjoyed the movies when they would come on. But then when I started watching the things to do with this game, the fact that it was open world, and the fact that it looked so visually appealing, it looks and feels exactly like you're in a movie or in a book, and I couldn't stand it. I had to go ahead and pre-order it, even though I haven't pre-ordered a game in well, many years, many years. This is the first pre-order that I have put down in many years of gaming, and and it was worth it. It really was worth it. Um, I hope the DLCs or the expansions that they come out with in this game live up to what it needs it to be. I wish they would expand on some of it. There's things in it that they could push forward. One of the things you don't do in the game, not to spoil anything, but one of the things you don't do in the game, you don't cast Patronus. You can learn dark magic. You can learn the what do they call them? I just drew a blank. The unforgivable curses. You can learn the three unforgivable curses, but you can't learn the Patronus. And there's really no reason to cast a Patronus in the game, according to the story. So maybe that's why. But it would be just so cool to have an expansion or something where you do have to learn the Patronus and you do have to go into something, maybe an expansion realm or something that allows you to defend yourself against something like the uh, Dementors, or something that really puts you in that aspect of the world, because that's a really big part of Harry Potter. Another thing that I figure they are going to expand on, something they really alluded to in the game a lot, and that is Quidditch. Um, I know there's probably, and I haven't kept up with Harry Potter games. It's like I said, it was not my favorite genre of all fantasy or gaming in general, or movies in general rather. Um, but I did enjoy it, and one of the things that I figure they're going to have to release in some kind of DLC is Quidditch, because it talks about it so much. Now, how they'll do that, they'll have to actually go in and changed the um, route of like, well, no, they wouldn't have to. They could do a they can do an instance based for Quidditch. Sorry, I'm thinking in terms of what they could do with the current game to introduce a Quidditch game on top of it. But yeah, they can do that because there's instances in the game already where you go and you do these little mini games or something, and it creates kind of an instance where you're there and you're doing something, and then when you come out of it, everything goes back to normal. Um, and they could do that with Quidditch pretty easily, actually, just creating that. Uh, but yeah, this game is really entrancing. If you are a big Harry Potter fan, if you are a part of the Harry Potter fan club, um, let's see if we can get into. Here it is. Uh, read the feature. Okay. One of the things that it does as a part of the Harry Potter fan club, um, and I can't remember where I saw this, but it kind of takes a little of your profile out of the Wizarding World fan club thing here. I don't think I'm signed in, but that's okay. I'm not going to sign in. One of the things it does is it takes out your profile, and it took, like, I did a quiz in there for the sorting hat and the wand. My wand in game, after I registered it with the Harry Potter fan club, across registered whatever I had to do there, it automatically generates a wand with a similar profile as the one that it generated in the fan club. Um, One of the things that the character seemed like he was somewhat representative of my profile picture in the fan club. Now I don't know if that's, maybe it's just auto generated that way anyway, or maybe it randomizes it, but because you're a part of the fan club, it generates it that way. Because I've created multiple characters just to test the theory, and it seems to do that every time. Um, and the sorting hat sorts me automatically into the same house that my Wizarding World fan club profile says I am. I don't know if that's true either because I'm a Gryffindor and in the fan club, and it would only make sense that they would automatically sort you into the Gryffindor house in the game anyway, because that's what Harry Potter was. So it's hard for me to tell. Um, I wish I could speak from like a different house perspective to say, hey, I'm a this house in my fan club, and it sorted me into that house for sure. I don't know. But it is neat how that crosses over and at least takes some elements from the fact that you're in the fan club and gives it to you in game, which is really neat. Uh, One of the things I did also with the game was I pre-ordered, uh, and I think you can still unlock those exclusives. Um, I The Harry Potter fan club allowed me to unlock this exclusive special robe, which is neat. I never used it. Um, Here it is, representing your true Hogwarts house using your own wand. That's what it did. They took the wands from the fan club and put them also into the game to where your house and your wand auto generate. So it does say house and wand, and it allows you to connect it, and that's really fun. Really cool that they did that. It adds just a different level of immersion, which is, I know it's just a thing. If you're a fan, though, it's a big thing. If you're not a fan, it's just whatever. I don't care. I want to change my house or change my. I've already created a couple characters myself that are not the same character as mine. But of course, when I went into the game originally, I went into it thinking I'm going to try to do everything in game I can, and I did everything almost uh, with my main character, and I'm still working on some of the trials and puzzles and things that I can finish after all the major storyline game is over. But there's a couple things I missed, and so I've already started another character. And decided, okay, when this comes up, I'm definitely going to answer this way or do this to try to unlock those other things. Most of them, well, I don't really know because I've only played one way, and I can't wait to try to play a different way. Um, I am going to take a break from the Hogwarts Legacy because I want to go on to other games. But I did want to cover this while I was still feeling the enjoyment of this game, and record the Let's Talk because it is a really enjoyable game. One that I highly recommend if you don't want to get it right away because you're maybe not a big Hogwarts or Harry Potter fan. There's nothing wrong at all with waiting until it goes down or goes on sale or just whatever they're going to do. That's fine. I keep doing that. Keep saying I'm doing that with Red Dead 2. And when it come up, I've just been like, I don't have time to buy it right now because I don't have time to play it. So the few times that it has gone on sale, I abated from getting it. So, but here's Hogwarts Legacy and Harry Potter are not my favorite all-time genres, not my favorite all-time stories, and yet uh, it is a fully immersive game that had me wanting to watch all the movies again, wanting to go on the Harry Potter fan club and buy merchandise. I mean, it had me doing all the things that it should do for a game that has such a rich uh, history and uh, deep world around it. It also goes in a lot into the Fantastic Beast stuff. If you're really into it, I watched it. It's okay, but I'm not going to review movies here. Well, not right now. But this game definitely worth a shot. I would, if I said a game was perfect at a 10, I would definitely give Hogwarts Legacy 9.5 of whatever scale we're talking about here, because it's a really awesome game, and I enjoyed it, and I just wanted to do a Let's Talk while I still enjoyed it. Hope you guys uh, enjoyed this time. This is Fire Knight 13 signing off. Wishing you all Godspeed. We will see you next time.